What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Gimme. Why the Gimme? Because we're always this close. No, come on. It's because we're good. That's why we're on the eve of this week's American Express out in Palm Springs, California, the start of the West Coast swing on the PGA Tour. Coming up, we're going to spin our betting wheel. We're going to make our ultimate DFS lineup. We're going to name our perfect portfolios. But first, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Jason Sobel from Golf Bet, along with my friends, Peter Jennings and Amanda Rose. We're going to have a nice giveaway for you guys later, a nice Golf Bet hat. But first, guys, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. Amanda, give me a bet you're making this week right off the top.
Peter Malnati top 20.
Oh, I like that. Peter Malnati's been playing really well lately. How about Peter Jennings?
Yeah, Amanda's been bullish on Malnati. He's playing well, and I like that call quite a bit. I will be talking about Scotty Scheffler in basically every segment. I have bets on him in a variety of formats, and we will be diving into that here soon.
Guys, you're never going to believe this, and for the people that watch this show on a regular basis, they will never believe it, but I've got a lot of Doc Redman props this week. Top 5s, top 10s, top 20s. I'm taking them everywhere. Love that guy. He's going to win soon, and I'm going to be rich, I hope. All right, let's get to the top of the board this week at the Amex. As I said, playing on 2 courses out in Palm Springs, not 3 as usual. We'll get into that as well. Patrick Cantlay at the top of the board after John Rahm's withdrawal on Monday this week. He is out of the tournament, tweaked his back late last week. So Patrick Cantlay at 13-1, Patrick Reed 15-1, Tony Finau at 17-1, Scotty Scheffler also 17-1. Brooks Koepka making his 2021 debut. He is 21-1. As is Sungjae Im, without Rahm being in the mix, and Rahm was a heavy favorite once the odds came out, and obviously without him there. It's Patrick Cantlay. Do you feel like the numbers are right, Peter? Anything off in the top of the board this week?
I actually think there's a decent bit off here. I agree that Cantlay should be the favorite, followed by Reed. Then I think it should be Scheffler, who I'll talk about, is really close with Finau and Sungjae. But Koepka, I think, is significantly worse. My order would be some combination of like Cantlay, Reed, and I think Sungjae, Finau, Scheffler are all very, very close. And then Koepka's actually behind a couple other people, and we'll see. I hope Brooks plays well. I do think it's good for golf. And he's not the total villain, but I think it's compelling when Brooks is playing well. But given his past results and what we saw last year, he came on, and played better golf towards the end of the season. But still, by my numbers, he should not be ahead of Sungjae, and certainly shouldn't be 21-1.
Yeah, Patrick Reed might be sitting there right now saying, whoa, Brooks, he's the villain? What do I got to do over here to be the villain role? Come on. Let's get to our perfect portfolio. As always, some of us have $100. I got to get into the wallet this week. I don't even know where my money is, but some of us here, I got some stacks here. Others don't have as much. It's okay. You know what? We all want winners, no matter how much we're betting on a usual basis, whether it's high stakes, low stakes, high volume, low volume. We want to pick some winners. You can see our bets from last week on the screen. Mid-season form already. Jennings up, Rose and I down. What's new, Amanda? I mean, it's
absolutely
like
nothing.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, let's start with Peter because he's the one that's up already. So, Pete, what do you got this week?
Yeah, fortunate Steele, finished in the top 20. Really was rooting for him, but it was a fun tournament last week. This week, I'll invest my $100 with half of it on Scotty Scheffler, I just referenced. Top 10 plus 225. I just think this is a really good setup for him. He's a player that can get extremely hot on approach. We saw him just play unbelievable golf, and would have won easily last year, especially in Boston if DJ didn't shoot the lights out. So Scheffler, I think, has this unbelievable amateur pedigree. It's coming to fruition. I think, he should be right there as the favorite in this field, and he's not priced that way. So really like Scotty Scheffler. My next $25 investment is going to be on EVR, Eric Van Rooyen. This is the perfect spot. This is the exact scenario that I love buying and betting in DFS. And the average person is just going to look and say, oh, Van Rooyen missed the cut last week. Well, he missed the cut at -3 on the number. He was amazing last week in terms of his ball striking. Gained basically 1.8 strokes against the field, tee to green. Lost 1.45 strokes putting. So I think there's some regression there. I think he's a really good setup. I think he is one of the best betting values on the board. And then finally, I'm going to invest my final $25 in Seb Straka for a top 10 Has played really well at this course. I think he's underrated, really good approach game. And with his course history, I really like that play plus 800. Amanda, how are you investing your money this week?
So I'm going to start out. I'm going to put my first $2 on a Russell Henley top five. I mean, coming into this week, he's playing some of the best golf of anyone. After John Rahm withdrew, he became, he came into the field with most strokes gained. So he's playing really, really great golf. He hasn't played great at this course, or excuse me, at this event in the past. But I think with the format change this year, there's no amateurs. They're only playing 2 courses. I think that bodes well for his game. So I don't see any situation where I wouldn't be betting Russell Henley this week. And you'll see that a little bit later. My next $2 is a guy that I already talked about, Peter Malnati for a top 20. He was top 20 last week. He tied for 14th. He's my dark horse. I love him. And both courses this week are pretty short. They're pretty easy courses, and that benefits Malnati's game. He tends to play well on the easier courses. And Bermuda is his best putting surface by a long shot. Like, it's not even close. So I think this week, if he can just get the putter going, top 10 is not out of the question. But I think top 20 is very, very possible. And finally, I'm going to round it out with $6 on a Patrick Cantlay outright. He's a SoCal kid. He finished 9th the last time that he played this event. It doesn't surprise me he's only played this event twice, because we know he's not the most outgoing guy. So now with the format change, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, he might have more of an inclination to play. There's only 2 courses this year. So I don't love that he is the outright guy at 13 or 14 to 1, depending on where you're getting your odds. But that's not the worst value that we've seen on outrights this season. So I do like Patrick Cantlay a lot. That's the direction I'm going. Jason, where are you going?
Yeah, Amanda, I think there's something to be said for some of these players who don't necessarily like the pro-ams, don't like interacting that much, don't like the 6-hour rounds, don't like the whole thing that goes with playing a competitive event with amateur players. I think that could help guys this week, and Cantlay might just be one of those guys. So I mentioned Doc Redman earlier, one of my favorite players to bet on out there. In his last 8 starts, he's cashed top 5 bets in 3 of those, 37.5% of the time. So I'm going back to the well, $50 on Doc Redman for a top 5 this week. Hopefully that ball striking is ready to go for the new year in his 2021 debut. $25 on Aaron Wise outright. We have seen long shots win this golf tournament over and over again. Last year, Andrew Landry, 200 to 1. The year before, Adam Long, 500 to 1. In fact, over the last 10 years, it's been an average of 125 to 1 pre-tournament odds for the eventual champion. So I think there's something to looking down the board and taking a guy who's a little bit lower. Aaron Wise, depending on where you get him, he's anywhere from 70 to 90 to 1. So I like him, just a talented young player, still only 24 years old, did have a great 2020, but did finish runner-up at Mayakoba in his last start of last year. And then $25 on Sepp Straka for a top 10. Really good ball striking week last week at the Sony, and played really well at this one last year. He was T4. I like Straka. In fact, in one and done pools, I'm in a few of them, and I got Sepp Straka going this week. So I think that is a smart play this week. So those are our perfect portfolios. And now, guys, it's time to play the wheel. The top 6 on the board are on our betting wheel this week. We've got Patrick Cantlay, Patrick Reed, Tony Finau, Scotty Scheffler, Brooks Koepka, Sungjae Im, and Evan Abrams. Last guy. Oh, that's our producer, Evan Abrams. Hello, Evan. Are you ready to spin the wheel for us?
Well done. In a tournament that's been won by long shots, let's spin the wheel with some favorites. So let's go right on the board first. Let's see who we get. First spin is going to land on Sungjae Im. And I think the perfect Sungjae Im right now has got to be Peter Jennings. What do you like in Sungjae?
Yeah, I really like Sungjae this week. I think it's a really good golf course for him. I mentioned that I think he should certainly be a much higher favorite. I'll do an outright, especially if you can get 25, 30 to 1 on Sungjae. I think that's a really good price. I think he should be more in that 20 to 1 ballpark. It's rare that you have these top guys show like significant value. Sometimes you'll get like the very top of the board. But often like these 20, 25 to 1 guys, I don't show as much value, but that's not the case this week with Sungjae Im, who I do think has a real chance to win. And just another week where Sungjae Im is playing a PGA Tour event. So hopefully he plays well.
Nailed it. All right, let's roll it again. Let's hide Sungjae and let's spin it up. All right. Next on the wheel is going to be Oh, it's the favorite. It is Patrick Cantlay. So Sobel, what are you doing with Cantlay?
Okay, well, Amanda's betting him outright. She's putting all $6 on him outright this week. I've got nothing. I mean, literally on my card, it says no play, no fade. Like, I don't hate Patrick Cantlay this week. I'm not going to take a bunch of matchups against him because I think he's a really good player. He's in his home state of California. As Amanda mentioned, he could very well win this golf tournament. That said, I've seen a lot of long shots over the last 10 years win this event. And so I don't want to go with the outright favorite either. So I'm just kind of sitting there watching Patrick Cantlay play golf all week. How's that sound? Maybe a couple of DFS lineups. Other than that, not playing him, not fading him. Just going to watch him play golf.
In a show called The Gimme, you literally just gave us a gimme. You couldn't give us any actionable angle on this. That's, viewers.
Nothing.
Listen, it's fine. All right.
Put him in a couple of DFS lineups. There's plenty of guys where you can go a little bit lower and save some money on and spend big on Cantlay, but you don't need to. You don't need
There
it.
you go. Throw the favorite in there. Let's fight him on the board. Let's fight him on the board. Let's spin the wheel. All right, Amanda. Who's coming up for Amanda? It's going to be Tony Finau.
Oh, all right. So Mr. Bridesmaid. So I don't really like his odds this week, 17-1 or, whatever you get in between 15-1 and 20-1. I don't love that. He has finished fifth at this course once. So I'm going to give him a possibility of a top 20 finish because he's a very talented player and he hits it far and he wedges it pretty well. So I would assume he would play pretty well here. But I mean, I'm not bullish on it. I wouldn't, bet anyone's like college fund on him to finish top 20, but I think you could put like $2 or $5. But yes, I mean, he's a good player, obviously. What, Jason? Jason's just throwing his cards out.
I was putting money on him. Look.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I also have a $2 bill that I will put on Tony Finau. How's that sound?
Yes, I love that. Yeah, so let's put $2 on Tony Finau for for a top 20 as part of the wheel.
Thank you, Evan. Good spinning today.
Appreciate it. I really wish I would have gotten Reed or Koepka, but didn't happen this time. Maybe next week, guys.
You got to rig it.
Yeah. By the way, I had no play and no fade on Reed or Koepka either. Just stay away from the top of the board. They're okay.
You prepared very well, Jason.
Anyway, let's get to speaking about this tournament, and it's a little bit different than we've seen in previous years. We've already mentioned no pro-am part to this, so no amateur partners. They're playing in groups of 3 instead of groups of 2 with an amateur partner, so there won't be any 6-hour rounds. We hope. They're only playing on 2 golf courses. We have taken La Quinta out of the rotation this week, which has been the easiest course of the 3 over the last couple of years. And oh, by the way, there's no 54-hole cut. The cut's going to be after 36 holes instead because, of course, only 2 courses, the Stadium course and the Nicklaus Tournament course, and not La Quinta. So that actually changes things for DFS, I think, a lot, where you can't guarantee 54 holes for everybody in the field. So let's get to our favorite props this week. Amanda, why don't you kick it off? What are you doing?
I'm going to go in a weird direction. I like to go a little weird with these, but I'm going to go with Maverick McNeely for a top 20. He finished 37th here last year, his first full year on tour, which is not a bad start because he missed the cut the first time he played as an amateur. He finished 12th at the OHL in his last start of last season. And since he's been on tour, he's gained the most strokes on the field when he's playing these easier, shorter courses, like I mentioned with Malnati earlier. And he's not a very long hitter. So when you have these just 2 courses that are setting up pretty short, I think it's going to benefit his game. And if he can just get his putter going, I really like his chances this week. You get some good value on a top 20 play from a kid like Maverick McNeely.
You know what? Back when I was in high school, if I saw someone trying to look at my paper on a test and try to cheat off me, I'd be like, yeah, here, go ahead. You can cheat off me. I'm getting a C+. I'm probably not failing, but I'm not going to help you get into Harvard either. So you can cheat off my paper. You, Amanda, have decided to cheat off my paper because I've got Maverick McNeely, top 20, as my favorite prop. I've got nothing else to say. You said it all about him. Peter, why don't you go?
We're going to go to a friend of the show, friend of Jason, Brendan Steele, who talked about last week, really had a chance at the overnight lead going into Sunday. And I think he's a good bet again this week. So I really like Steele as a top 20 bet. And really the big thing that I think has elevated Steele's game and why I think he can play well here. 1, he's a West Coast guy, so I think it's a good setup in that regard. But 2, the big improvement in his game that has really catapulted him in my view is his approach. And we talked about it on the podcast with him that he's much more comfortable hitting cuts on approach, and he's able to access multiple hole locations because he can move the ball both directions. And that's a huge thing. It's showing up in the stats. Last year, the 2020 season, he gained 0.539 strokes approach to the green, which was 16th, which I believe is his best stat statistically that he's been on approach ever. So I really like that trend, and I think he's a good bet this week at top 20, and hopefully he's not feeling the hangover of the what happened on Sunday and is motivated to play well this week.
Yeah, I can tell you he was disappointed right afterwards. Surprise, surprise. But I do think he will get back out there and play well this week. Usually does play well in the West Coast swing, especially in California. So I like that play. Let's get to our matchups. Amanda, I might copy you this time.
You probably don't want to. I copying me does no one any good unless it is like a history test or like a Spanish test. Don't copy me unless we're in school. Then definitely copy me.
Okay.
So I'm taking Ricky Fowler over Cameron Champ. There's not much difference in the odds for them, but Ricky is a slight underdog here. I know people like Champ this week, but like I'm just not buying what they're selling. There's nothing that could make me bet on Cameron Champ really anywhere that isn't unbelievably windy, right? I mean, he plays really well the safe way. He's won twice, but I'm not buying the Cameron Champ storyline this week. So Ricky's a SoCal kid. He's finished 10th here last year. He's comfortable on these Bermuda greens. I mean, he plays all of his golf down in Jupiter, Florida. And Cameron Champ is absolutely abysmal on these greens. So yeah, I'm not taking him. I think Ricky Fowler is definitely the play, especially even if you're just looking at putting statistics on Bermuda grass, it's clear that you should probably take Ricky Fowler.
I'm not going to copy you. I am bullish long-term on Ricky. I said on Hitting the Green, our SiriusXM PGA Tour show that I do with Michael Collins 3 days a week. I said that I like Ricky long-term. I like him maybe a futures bet for the Open Championship, maybe the PGA Championship, but we need to give it a little more time. I want to see something from Ricky before I start betting on him. In any case, my favorite matchup this week, Sam Burns, who played really well at this event last year. He plays well everywhere. The thing I like about Burns is that his game travels. It doesn't just play well in the Southeast where he's from. It doesn't just play well in Bermuda Green. He plays well at different courses, different types of venues. So I am taking him minus 106, which is a nice number, just right around even money over Lanto Griffin, who at least has 2 events under his belt, but I think he's being weighed too heavily in the marketplace because of that and because of Burns not having played yet, but nothing real special from Griffin yet, so I don't mind fading him in this matchup. Pete, where are you going?
Yeah, I'm going to go with another Scotty Scheffler bet, and I'll take Scheffler at even money over Tony Finau. I think they should be close, but I think Scheffler should be a favorite, so this isn't a huge edge, but I do think there's value here. And Scheffler is just, in my view, a better player. 10th last year's total strokes gained to the green, ahead of names like Tony Finau, Patrick Cantlay, Daniel Berger, an amazing amateur pedigree. And you just look at his results. I mean, his results from the 2020 season were really good. Unfortunately, didn't have that win. He should have won, but DJ went out and shot like 30 million under. But 3 top 10s, a bunch of top 25s. He really just played great golf. So I think he's someone that you want exposure to this year. And it's just someone that I'm going to be targeting in different formats. And this is a great setup. He's also 7th last year in birdie average, which I think is important for this tournament.
Yeah, I'm really high on Scotty Scheffler long-term. Oh, by the way, there's some Ryder Cup odds out. Scotty Scheffler is even money to make the U.S. Ryder Cup team later this year. I think it might happen. I'm not sure I want to bet even money on it, but it could happen. So let's get to our ultimate DFS lineup. Very excited about this because I think there's a lot of ways you can go this week. And every week we do this, Peter and I, on our Action Network Golf Bet Pod. You should also check out all the models and tools on Fantasy Labs. Some great stuff over there. So let's start it off with Amanda Rose. Where are you going with the first pick, Amanda?
So speaking of copying other people, I unintentionally copied myself when making the DFS lineup based on, money, and, we all have to kind of go back and forth and make our picks so that it fits in the lineup. But first pick here is Russell Henley. Like, I totally forgot I picked him earlier. His value isn't great this week, around $9,000, but he is one of the best players at the moment. And you look at his ball striking and putting stats, everything is there that indicates that this could be a really good week for him. And you just don't want to leave him out of a lineup. He's going to have probably high ownership this week, but if you ain't first, you're last with him kind of thing, because I really think he's going to do something big this week. So that is where I am starting. Jason, I don't remember if you or Pete had the next.
Let's give it to Pete. Where you want to go, Pete?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Eric Van Rooyen, who I think is the best betting value and criminally underpriced at 7,900 on DraftKings. I think he should be in the 9,000s. I just think he's a much higher caliber of player, and I love the type of result. This is exactly what I'm looking for, like I referenced. Great ball striking, some bad putting the week before, misses the cut on the number. Everyone's going to look at the missed cut when they look at his game log on DraftKings. He's playing a lot better than that, and I think he's a really good pick this week. Jason, where are you going?
I got to tell you guys, I'm a little nervous right now because I love both of those plays, and I don't want to be the one that screws up this lineup. So hopefully, fingers crossed, because I've got him everywhere, but I've been talking about Aaron Wise for a few days now. And like I said earlier, talented young player, undervalued in every marketplace, including DFS, only 7,600 on DraftKings this week. A West Coaster on the West Coast. I always like that. So I'm going Aaron Wise. Amanda, your second play.
So I'm going back to copying myself on this one because such is life. I'm coming back to Peter Malnati. I just love him. This course sets up really well for him. He's a great value. He is a lower ownership guy, and he tends to play really well on these short courses. Like I said earlier, this week we only have the 2 courses in rotation. We don't have the pro-ams, even though he's someone that probably likes playing with amateurs. He seems like a really nice guy. But he's just a really, really good addition to the lineup. I would suggest anyone who didn't take him last week, take him this week in your lineup. It'll be worth it. Pete, where are you going?
Yeah, well, we'll just keep echoing a lot of the guys we talked about. So I'm going with Scotty Scheffler, who deserves to be, in the 10K range based on my numbers, 9,500. I think he's a slam dunk. And I did misquote. He had 7 top 10s last year, 13 top 25s. He's only 24 years old. And I probably would take him at even money or better to make the Ryder Cup. I think he just really comes on strong this year and continues his great play. Jason, how are you rounding out this lineup?
A lot of young guys on this team. I believe I've got 8,800 left to spend on DraftKings. I'm going to leave a little money on the table, which I think is very easy to do this week. I'm going down to 8,300, taking Sam Burns. Spoke about him already. I love the fact that his game travels. I wish he'd played the Sony last week. Traditionally, guys have a little bit more success having played somewhere on the Hawaiian swing before they get over to this event. That said, hopefully he shows up in good form, practices a little bit, and gets ready for this one. So that's our lineup on DraftKings this week. Russell Henley, Eric Van Rooyen, Aaron Wise, Peter Malnati, Scotty Scheffler, Sam Burns. Send it. That thing's going to win some cash this week. So hopefully you guys all get in on some of that. Let's do a little giveaway. Our golf bet hat is waiting for somebody to win it. We asked for your favorite bet this week. Amanda Rose went through a million of them, maybe 1,000,002. Amanda, what do you got? What do we like this week?
So our runner up here is, I don't have his username. I'm so sorry. But he said Bermuda Burns tied for 10th, 5-1. Bermuda Greens in 7th place, finishes at similar courses at Safeway in Houston. He's agreeing there with you, Jace. I love that. And for the win, the Butler
what is the runner-up win?
I'm sorry, Sam Burns. Bermuda Burns.
No, but what does the runner-up win? What does the runner-up get?
I don't know.
Nothing. He doesn't even get his name on the show. That's what you get, runner-up.
It was a copy and paste issue on my end. I apologize. But the Butler did it. Now he gets a shout out. He said Scheffler came in 3rd here last year and was positive strokes gained in 3 of 4 rounds in Hawaii. So at least our contest enterers are all in agreement with us this week. So that kind of bodes well. So they can't yell at us if we're wrong.
No, that's Jennings' burner account. He's just trying to get a golf bet hat for free. Nice work, Pete.
You got me.
Yeah. All right. Have fun with your hat, Peter. All right. Guys, long shots, maybe a player you haven't named yet, just somebody a little bit lower down the board that you might be looking at. Pete?
Yeah, so a guy that's really low, long odds, we're talking big time long odds. I've seen him 400 or 500 to 1 to win. And, he should be in the hundreds to 1, but I think there's significant value. He probably should be more like 200 to 1 is Will Gordon, who is a really talented amateur player. Great college career, was at Vanderbilt, competed with all these young guns and was, really, really good in college and showed some flashes last year and really good tee to green from a statistical standpoint in the 2020 season. What let him down was he was one of the worst putters on the PGA Tour. I don't know if that's going to sustain. I don't know a ton about how he's putted historically, but you look through his college stats, he had to have made some putts to have the scores that he put in. So I like some regression in putting, and if he can do that, he certainly can be competitive. And at 400 to 1, throw a couple bucks on that.
Why not?
He hits. Why not?
Amanda, where are you going?
I'm going to go with Wyndham Clark. He had some great finishes in the fall. He's riding a good wave of momentum, even though this is his first event of the season. But I think this is a season where he does get his first win. He was a really talented amateur player at Oregon. And you look at what he's done so far in his pro career, and he has had a nice pro career. He just hasn't really broken through. He hasn't done what Scotty Scheffler has done by finishing, top 10, top 20, top 5s all those times. But I think that this is a good week for Wyndham Clark. And I think we're all going to be pretty bullish on him this season going forward. And Jason, what about you?
I like yours better than mine, so I might just let you.
That works.
I like yours better than mine too.
Yeah, that's a Wyndham Clark is a very, very good play this week. I'm glad you said that name because that's a name that I somehow didn't get into my preview column this week. I didn't get into any other content, and I really like him, and I wanted to get him in somewhere. So I'm glad you did, Amanda. My guy was Scott Piercy. I always look at Scott Piercy when he's playing desert golf, a guy from Vegas, likes playing the desert. He only has 2 top 20s in 9 career starts at this one, but I've heard a little bug that he doesn't love playing in pro-am style events. So maybe taking away the amateurs out of this one will help Scott Piercy this week. So hopefully we've helped you guys out. Thanks so much for watching this week's edition of the Gimme. Check out all of our Action Network and Golf Bet content on the American Express this week. For Peter Jennings, for Amanda Rose, I'm Jason Sobel. Good luck with all your bets. Here's hoping you hit the green.